Okay, I'm back. Here we go. We're gonna wait a couple more minutes just to make sure everybody. I see a lot of people signing on. I just want to make sure I don't have to repeat myself. Let's start it at 5:25. It's 5:19 right now, and we're gonna get started at 5:25, despite if other people log in or not. Just give it 5 more minutes, and we're gonna get this thing started. Okay, everybody, we're about to get started. This is DJ1. I'm part of the TouchPix support team. Welcome to our TouchPix 101 webinar. It's been a little while since I've done one. Usually Charles is the guy leading these webinars. I'm going to try to see if I can show you guys as much as possible with the iPhone setup. We will touch on GoPro setups. We will touch on sharing stations, and we will touch on Apple TV. And if my external camera is cooperating, I will actually run through a live session for you guys when we're all said and done. We will have a moment where we can start asking questions. Till then, I just kind of want you guys to follow along. This webinar is recorded. So at any point, you guys can either email myself or you can join the Facebook group on Facebook, which is probably the preferred and fastest way to get a hold of this recording. We do have a support group on Facebook. It's absolutely free. It's called the TouchPix User Group. I'm not sure. I might have somebody moderating the chat. Typically is one of our moderators for the TouchPix User Group. It's typically George Velasco.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Welcome, George. So he'll be monitoring the chat room. He'll be kind of like following along. If you guys have any questions, please put it on the chat room first. Like I said, towards the end, I want to go through this as quickly as possible. Some of these go for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I do have some time for questions, but I want to get through and cover as much as possible. At the end of the day, I'm here to try to assist you guys in being successful at what you do. We all want to make money in this event industry field. TouchPix is a great app to do that with both 360 or iPad booths. We're only touching on the 360 side today, but if you guys have questions, I definitely encourage you guys to ask them, shoot out an email, or join the TouchPix user group, which is a wealth of knowledge. And let's just kind of get started, okay? Again, my name is DJ1. I've been a TouchPix user for a little over 2 years now. Before the 360 features came out, the 360 features did allow for TouchPix to kind of blow up the way it did, and a lot of people are selling spinners. We partner up with a lot of different companies, and we hope that everybody kind of gives us a try. We do give out free 7-day free trials. If you guys are interested in the 7-day free trial, please email the following email address. Maybe George can put it up on the chat. If you guys have not received a 7-day free trial and you guys are curious about the app and want to give it a shot, please mail and shoot an email to mail@touchpix.com. Request should be try to provide a Apple ID email address. That always helps, right? And please be respectful when you send an email. Don't just say, "Give me a free trial, bye." Right? Try to give a little bit more information. Say, "Hey, my name is such and such. I own XYZ photo booth company. I'd like to request a free 7-day trial. My email address is, xyz@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as a contact number." And that's useful and helpful information for us. That way we can exchange and have a conversation. I know I do sometimes receive emails just basically saying, "Give me a free trial," and nothing else is included. And it turns into this back and forth email exchange because we're trying to get information. So please just be mindful. Again, TouchPix is a great app. We're going to dive into this now. Again, this is the very beginning of TouchPix. This webinar is designed to help you. We offer this webinar every week to try to polish your skills, to try to, at least I believe, enrich your knowledge as far as 360 or photo booth in general. There is a lot of questions that are being asked that are repetitive questions. You can easily find those in the group. But if you feel like you need more of a one-on-one type of setting, shoot out an email to us and we'll be more than happy to respond. Again, we're going to dive right in now. So this is touchpix.com. So I'm assuming you guys are here because you guys purchased a spinner, or you guys are about to purchase a spinner and you guys are curious what TouchPix is all about. TouchPix is an iOS app that is operated on your iPhone. We recommend using the iPhone 11 or 12, any variant. It can be the base model, the Pro model, the Max Pro. Any of them will work perfectly fine. The reason we recommend that specific iPhone is because it has the ultra wide lens. It has the image stabilization when recording video. And it's a really, really good video capture device. But aside from that, it's also compatible with GoPro 6 Black, 7 Black, 8 Black. It is not compatible with GoPro 9. No software in the industry is compatible with GoPro 9. It has nothing to do with the software out there. It just has to do with the way GoPro made some changes to their interface as far as connecting. There's a lot of questions whether or not TouchPix should be used for iPads. I believe TouchPix is great for iPads if you're using it for a photo booth. It's great for iPads if you're going to use the iPad as a sharing station. My personal opinion is I do not recommend using an iPad for a video capture device unless you probably have the very brand new iPad with the M1 chip with the 3 lenses on the back and the higher megapixel front camera. If you don't own that iPad, I wouldn't suggest it. A lot of these iPads vary from camera settings. I would stick with the iPhone 11, 12, or any of the GoPros we mentioned. You can use an iPad for the sharing station, and you can use another iPad for regular photo booth use, but for recording actual slow motion video content, my purpose here is to absolutely recommend what I feel is best. And I feel that you guys should not use an iPad for the capture device. 1, it's huge for the arm. 2, if the iPad falls and it breaks, you guys are going to be super upset because they're expensive, right? 3, it just doesn't have, unless you have the brand new M1 iPad, it just doesn't have the high definition video quality and the ultra wide lens as the iPhone 11 or 12 does, or any of the GoPros. So that's what I wanted to share before we get started. But since you guys are here, this is are you guys able to see my screen? Can somebody unmute themselves and say yes or no? You guys are able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to blow this screen up. This is our TouchPix interface here. see if I can move this bar up here. Yes, I can. Okay, so this is our TouchPix home screen, right? You guys probably, if you guys haven't enlisted in the webinar, which is what brought you here today, do so here. It'll send you reminders. We offer free classes every Wednesday. We have people dropping in more than a couple of times to get refreshers. But we also record the video, so feel free to let us know if you need the video. Before we get started, I do want to let you guys know that TouchPix it is a cloud-based app, right? So everything that you guys do has to have somewhat of an internet connection, not while performing at your event, but at some point when you guys are closing out your events and you guys are ready to share that link with your client, the content needs to upload up into the cloud system, right? Whether you're sending text messages or emails, just know that TouchPix, it is a cloud-based app. We do use Amazon Web Services for that. All the servers are located in the United States, so be assured that everything is safe and as fast as possible. But number one thing with videos versus photo booths, people are used to, in the photo booth industry, sending a text and getting it immediately, right? Because we're dealing with still pictures. We're dealing with file sizes that are not huge, right? With the 360 game, everything changes. We are now sharing high definition, high quality video output. So we do need to have somewhat a reliable internet connection if you're going to plan to share on the spot. If not, you can always share at a later time. The way TouchPix is designed, if somebody wants to send themselves a text and you don't have internet connection, the way it's designed is whenever you get to your home office or you get to your office and you do have a location where you do have internet connection, it'll start sending them out instantly when you open the app. Okay, but in preparing you, I want to show you guys a couple of different websites where you guys can actually go and test your internet speed if you're not sure. I'm going to this website here called speedtest.net. I do this before every event. Every event, I go to, whether it be one city or the next. I never know whether or not I'm going to have good internet. I never rely on Wi-Fi internet. I mean, it is my last resort. If you guys are doing this as a business, just kind of as a pro tip, invest in a hotspot for your business. That'd probably be a good investment. It's a good write-off, right? And it's for your business. Again, you're representing your brand. You're representing your, the image is representing your quality. So you want to leave a good impression, not only to the clients, but to all the guests that are, using your machines. So never rely on somebody else's internet, specifically hotel rooms, because a lot of those connections are blocked to a certain degree where you're not going to allow the communication between devices at times. So always best, if you have the means, invest in a hotspot. Okay, but once you go to a location and you log into your hotspot, or last resort, the venue Wi-Fi, you go to speedtest.net. You're going to do a quick you're going to select go, right? Depending on the internet speed, my download speed is extremely fast for my location right now. I'm actually out in a little tool shed that I use, so it's pretty fast. The download speed is not what matters with TouchPix. The download speed is just things that you download off the internet, web pages. What matters is the second test here, the upload speed. Again, because TouchPix is a web-based, cloud-based application, it needs speed to upload the content. I would say anything above a 7 is acceptable for TouchPix to run a successful event. Obviously, right now in my little shed, my results are 20, right? So I'm pretty good when it comes to running an event at any place that is above a 7. So just as a pro tip, keep that in the back of your mind. This is a free web application that you can run before you get to your event. In the event that you have something below a 7, you may struggle with sharing. You may want to just turn your Wi-Fi off and share at a later time, right? So it's kind of a pro tip. Or we're not going to talk about it too much in this video, but we do have a new method that was released a couple of weeks ago. It's called ScamPix. It's specifically tied to the TouchPix app. It's basically sharing without the internet. You do need some added hardware for that. you do need a router, you do need a kind of like a tablet Windows laptop. The software, we're providing it for free. We do know that you're going to have an incurred expense if you decide to go that route, but it's an absolutely free route. You have other people charging a lot of money for their services that kind of do the same thing. We decided, hey, look, let's help our customers deliver the content, and we designed ScamPix for the purposes of you get instant delivery, no matter if you have internet or not. So, I'll point you guys to the right direction with that. If you guys are curious about it, always feel free to go to the YouTube page. Once you go to YouTube, go to the TouchPix page. You'll have a lot of the tutorials there, a lot of the new products that are coming out, and a lot of just how to connect videos or how to connect devices type of settings. So ScamPix, keep that in the back of your mind. We're now going to jump into TouchPix. So initially, when you are using TouchPix, right, you're gonna come here, touchpix.com. This is your web portal. We're gonna log in. If you haven't logged in already, you're gonna create an account, right? This is where you create an account. I always recommend using the email address that's associated to your Apple ID. If you buy a white label package, you don't need that. I'll explain to you what that is. But if you're on anything other than a white label package, then I would use your Apple ID. So let me touch on that real quick before we get started. But this is our packages here, right? We have a $50 weekly package, $140 monthly package, $1,000 yearly package. And if you go over here to the shop part, you'll see one more hidden package. We call it the white label subscription. So maybe a lot of you are thinking, man, this is already a little confusing for me. So let me break this down to you guys. So the weekly package, right? All of these packages you see here are regular professional grade packages, meaning that if you buy any of these here, $50, $150, or $1,000, all your devices need to run on the same Apple ID. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, or many more other devices, just make sure that they all have the same Apple ID. If you do have the same Apple ID, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever in running it. And you can run a limited amount of events as long as they're on the same Apple ID, meaning that if you own the 1360 and you own 3 photo booths, you can book them all and run them all at the same time with separate events. So it's a big return on your investment, right? Other apps charge you a add-on per event fee. So it's a great thing to have with TouchPix, and that's what the professional series is. Now, the difference between the professional series and let's go over to the white label series that I just touched on. The white label series. A white label series means that if you buy the white label subscription, it doesn't need to have the same Apple ID. You can activate an event across the United States if you want. If you white label event, first of all, let's go over the term white label, right? The term white label, for people that are not familiar with the term white label in the photo booth industry, is there's a lot of photo booth business owners that maybe own about, let's just start with the low number, maybe 4 or 5.
Just me, there ain't no video.
Hello? Yeah, so there's about, say there's a photo booth company that owns about 4 or 5, 360s or photo booths, and they're all booked, right? They're all booked, but they're still getting calls. A white label means that somewhere along the line in this industry, you're going to have to entrust somebody, probably in your local market or maybe across state lines, that maybe you feel they have a comparable output to your brand. Maybe you feel like they may have a better reputation, maybe not, I'm not sure, but there's going to need some level of trust there where you can actually say, hey, look, I'm booked for all my 5 booths. I'm still taking bookings. I'm going to see if anybody wants to white label this event for me, right? So you're going to put out an ad saying, I got a client that needs maybe 3 hours of 360 service. Can anybody service it? So at some point, you and that person are going to have a conversation about money. You're providing the software, you're providing the overlay, you're providing the artwork. Typically, you know, the way it works is you guys make an agreement. You're still making money. They're actually representing your business. They're not allowed to brand their own business. They're not allowed to patch business cards. They're not allowed to show up with any type of branding because they're your clients. You know, they're going to represent your business. As far as you're concerned, they're not even going to have any contact with that client. So with the white label subscription, you're able to do these types of activations, right? So if you have an inquiry that's maybe in California, you're in a different state, you're going to reach out to somebody and say, hey, can somebody white label this 360 for me? I'll provide the software, I'll provide the artwork, and you're going to set up an event with TouchPix, and you're just going to send that person a QR code if they have the right equipment, and they're going to be able to activate that event on the spot. So it's a win-win for both the person taking the job because they're probably not booked, and it's a win for you because you're also making some money in this deal for not really just kind of connecting the services. So that's kind of what a white label is. Okay, so you got that option with this white label package is you can activate it with any device, doesn't need to be tied to any Apple ID. So now I'm going to go back to the beginning of TouchPix and we're going to get started with this tutorial. And if you guys have questions, drop them on the chat box, and I'll see if Mr. Velasco can answer some of those. Okay. So once you create your account, you're going to log in. All right. I got my business name there. I'm going to do a quick login. My screen may look a little different from you guys, but overall it's the same. So every time you come here, you're going to have two options. You're going to have an option to either create a custom event or create a preset event. What the preset event it does for you is that it activates an event on just by clicking a three-step process, right? You're gonna look through this list and say, okay, well, maybe I own a non-motorized spinner and I want a TV slideshow. I'm gonna select this. Or maybe I want a motorized spinner with a TV slideshow. Or maybe I don't want any type of, I don't have a motorized spinner, I just have a manual one and I don't want to activate a TV. You're gonna select this. It makes it super easy for you to create an event on the fly with 3 clicks, right? And he also added some quick ways on how to create your photo booth side for the TouchPix photo booth section of things, okay? The way I recommend and the way I'm gonna teach you guys is I want you guys to learn the right way. And I'm gonna go through the entire custom event setup. Essentially, it's a longer setup, but once you get this down, it should not take you longer than 10 minutes to complete a full event. In this case, I'm gonna call this event Webinar 101. You know, if you have a wedding, you can say wedding. Usually you put the date next to the side. You're going to name that event. This is important for you guys to know a little bit later in the setup process. So always name it something that's going to be really familiar to you. So language, of course, is English. Country, it's going to be the United States. The countdown here is going to dictate, you know, once you press start on the actual application, the countdown is going to count down, which means that in 4 seconds, it's going to start recording. You can adjust the countdown up or down. For 360 purposes, I usually leave it at 3. You know, 3 seconds usually gives people enough time to tell them, hey, you know, the countdown's going to go on. When it hits 1, start moving or start acting silly or whatever you want to prompt your guests to do. I also like to enable the beep sound. It's just basically an auditory sound that goes with each second, right? The mirror overlay, I always find it funny that this is here. This kind of pertains to your artwork. I always disable it. All this means is when you load your artwork, when you look at it on your phone, it's going to look like it has a mirror effect. Everything's going to look like it's in reverse or backwards. So I always leave that disabled. If you're using an iPhone 11 or 12, you're going to want to select the rear camera. It's very important because the rear camera is the high quality camera. We never want to do slow motion with the front camera, although you are able to do so. However, the quality is not great. It's not as great, right?
I'm sorry, I can't see anything.
Are you not seeing my screen? Is everybody seeing my screen?
I'm not seeing your screen.
I see your screen.
I see your screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing your screen too.
I see your screen.
Yeah, so it might be on your end, sir. Can you just try
Okay,
to
well, I'm gonna exit out and try and enter back in.
Okay, no worries.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on? Are you able to see the
Oh no,
screen?
I didn't know. I'm just watching. I just didn't know if you could. I had it on mute, so I'm just
Okay.
paying attention.
No worries, man. Just follow along. Like I said, if you guys have questions, we'll get to those. I'm just going to run through the
Yeah.
setup process. So we're in the countdown part now. There's auditory sounds. There's a mirror overlay. I'm going down the list now. It's the rear camera. If you're using an iPhone 11 or 12, that's the camera you want to use, the rear camera. You're able to get away with the front cam. I don't recommend it, but you're going to see a significant difference. If you guys want to try this at home, you guys are more than welcome to test it out. But if you are on an iPhone 11 or 12 rear camera. Now, if you're on the GoPro, you're gonna leave this unchecked, right? We'll get to the GoPro settings a little bit later, but there's not much of a difference. It's still the same workflow. But if you're on the GoPro, just leave it unchecked. If you're using the iPhone 11 or 12, check it. The camera exposure, I like to leave this on. You may go to venues where the lighting is super dim, and the camera exposure menu allows you to go in there and adjust your ISO and your exposure, right? Just to give it that little pop that it may need. So always leave this on, in my opinion. It'll work in your favor in more ways than one. The QR app protection, leave this disabled. I find that this is meant for the photo booth size of things when you're doing drop-offs, right? So leave this disabled. All this means is anytime you're gonna make a change, the software is gonna prompt you to supply the QR code. That way you have authorization to make the change. It can get very annoying. So if you're just running a 360, leave it unchecked, okay? We're not doing any printing. So we're gonna select no printing. And as far as functions go, if you're just focused on the 360 photo booth part, we're gonna uncheck photos, boomerangs, GIFs, videos. We're just gonna leave slow-mo selected, okay?
Oh, wow.
As far as slow-mo duration, this is how long your camera is gonna record. This does not mean that the video is gonna be 3.5 seconds long. It means that this is the timing that your camera is gonna record for. If you have a manual spinner, my setting for a manual spinner, I like to keep it like at 4.4 or 4.5, right? Because you want to give it enough time where it actually rotates around the person, maybe 2 or 3 times, right? And you don't want the force to stop while it's still recording. So don't increase the number too high. Leave it somewhere really manageable. I think 4.5 is great. Even 5 might be great. But if you have an automatic spinner, I always like to leave it at probably about 6 seconds. 6 seconds may be long for some, but I think for me, that's kind of where I like to leave my time.
Hey, I got a question for you. Do you have to, what we're doing right now, as far as setting up the event, you got to set the event up before you go to designer, before you go design the event?
Sure. Yes, you do.
Okay. Because I had designed something watching YouTube earlier.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay,
We're gonna go through the process, and then I'm gonna show you guys what's up with designer. And you can go from there.
All right, thank you.
So if you have an automatic, I would increase it by a second or so, 5.5. This is the slow-mo boomerang. This is when it actually plays your video in reverse. So this is a popular effect. So if you want the video to play through its entirety and play in reverse, make sure that this is enabled, okay? Now this audio file section is gonna be probably one for debate because I haven't been onto a webinar where it's not up for debate. So the audio file section, TouchPix takes anything that is an MP3 format. So what does that mean? MP3 format is basically a music container file, right? Apple Music, iTunes, they do not have MP3 files, right? They're very big against copyright infringement. So they changed their system files to something completely not related to MP3s. A lot of people call and say, I downloaded, I paid for Apple Music track, I can't load it. That's because it's not an MP3 file. Legally, with TouchPix, we recommend that you use copyright or royalty-free music visit royalty-free sites. Ben Sound is one. Not sure if George can write that down in the chat. Ben Sound, Epidemic Sound, AudioJungle.net, and MusicBed are all good, reputable sites where you can find some music. Some music are, they're free of charge, but some music you still have to pay for some licensing, right? It's huge because we're not condoning you to go to iTunes or use mainstream music because you're representing a business, right? And we all know that even sometimes the artists don't own the rights to their music because it's the record labels that do. So we don't want you getting sued. We don't want you saying, well, TouchPix told us we could use this. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to kind of direct you in a way where you're going to make the best decision for your business and move forward from there. I understand that there's people that's still going to use copyright-free music. You're able to use it in any capacity that you want. We're just not recommending or we're not condoning that you use it in that way. So we're supplying royalty-free music sites. That way you can make the best educated decision for your business and you can thrive, frankly, because you don't want to get hit with a lawsuit because the video went viral and now the record label's basically coming after you. So I've seen it happen in very, very few occasions with audio. I've seen it happen more so with artwork, using Disney type of artwork on some of the overlays, because Disney does not care how big your business is. If your business is just 2 people, they will come after you. They'll make sure that you're no longer in business. And that's just the way Disney kind of gets down. That's how serious they are. So I'm just trying to, supply some knowledge on that end. But when you hit to the audio file, what you want to do while you're doing this whole process is, I didn't go over this, but I strongly recommend that you create a folder, right? A folder on your desktop computer, and you call it TouchPix Files, right? Reason why I say that is because in this folder you can throw your music file, you can throw your artwork, you can throw your logos in here, and you're gonna know exactly where to point it without having to go dig through your computer again. So now if I'm selecting choose file, I'm actually going to be looking for my folder that's called TouchPix Files, which is selected, right? And I'm going to look for a music track that I already have that is royalty free, and I'm going to load it up, right? And the music track should be coming up here. It's called track, right? So now it loaded up a music track, a music file called track. Once it's in there, that means it's good to go, right? Ignore this screen flash section. This is meant for the photo booth side to simulate a flash. You don't need to check that off. The next portion is called timeouts. Because it's also a photo booth software, it gives you the ability to set up surveys, to edit photos with props. So it has all these different sections, right? For these sections, what you need to know about it from the 360 standpoint is you got to set them at 0. 0 will get you the quickest the quickest execution of your sessions, and your workflow will go a lot quicker. The only one that I leave at 12, it's probably going to be sharing, right? You're going to leave sharing at 12 because it's going to control your sharing station, and you want it to allow people enough time to input their phone number or email address. So what this number means is just 12 seconds. All these other things here around the timeouts, put them at 0 seconds. You don't need them. They're not useful for the 360. Okay. As we scroll down, this is the sharing portion of things. What's really popular is sending by text message, email. I'm not going to use Facebook. I'm not going to use WhatsApp. I'm not going to use Twitter. I'm not going to use copy. I'm going to use download. The download button is important for people that are sharing on iPhones, specifically because the way you receive the file is a link. iPhone and the Safari web browser are pretty notorious for not allowing non-Apple apps to function a certain way. So this download button just enables a download button on the actual hyperlink, so you're able to download it without issues. So it's important you select download. AirDrop is also a quick and easy way to share without internet, or a QR code if you do have internet. Okay, always leave the in-app gallery on. I'll explain that as we get closer to the sharing station. But at the same time, this edit screen is not needed. We're going to leave that disabled. So because you're able to customize your message, you can customize the message here. So if a person decides to email their photo to themselves or video to themselves, you can put, thank you for using XYZ photo booth as your message, right? It should be strictly intended for branding purposes. This is also the default message that they'll receive once they send themselves an email. You can incorporate your business name and contact number. I typically leave it at something like this. Thank you for using XYZ photo booth. This is my contact number. I'll list my number, and this is my Instagram handle. I usually leave it the same for all 4 of these boxes, right? For default text, default email, and the social share, I leave the message pretty similar. You can cut and paste it and you just move down the list. We're not using prompts for 360 photo booths. Where it says app name, this is your branding section. If you're using an Apple TV with screen mirroring and you want your business name to pop up, you can either use your business name, or if you're doing a special event for a corporate company, you can put their business name here. The app logo is what's going to be seen on your actual device, right? In this case, I'm using a generic Instagram logo to illustrate what I'm talking about. So if you have a logo that's basically called XYZ photo booth, you may want to have someone create that. If you look at this logo here, I'm hovering on it, it's a PNG file. What a PNG file means, it's transparent. It doesn't have a background, right? So it doesn't have like a white background, doesn't have a black background. It's just a transparent file. If you look at the size of the dimensions, this specific logo is 640 by 640. I recommend that in this branding section, you keep everything below 2000 by 2000 or lower, right? As far as your logos or your image sizes, it'll function a lot quicker. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use this Instagram logo here as pretending it's my brand. I'm also going to load it here, the app background, which is, in my case, is going to be on my iPhone. I'm going to look for the same logo here. And I'm going to look for the web gallery background for my sharing station. I want it to be the same. I want to keep it all consistent. So typically I use my logo in all three files here. You do have an option for an attract screen. I find the attract screen is more used on the photo booth side. You can use it on the 360 side. It's just going to take up a little bit more resources. I don't recommend you use it unless you feel comfortable. What an attract screen is you can have like an animated MP4 video playing, promoting your business. It gets a little distracting. It's really not needed. But if you do have something like that, you can load it here. But if you're new to the app, I recommend you just follow along with these 3 sections and leave this out. Once you get a little bit more experience, then go ahead and play around with that. If your logo is not transparent, say your logo is has a white background, you'll see this button here that says text or button color. If your logo has a white background, then the text color is white. You're not going to be able to see the text. So in the event that you do have a logo with a white background, you can go in here and now select your text color to be red or black or something that pops up, where it's noticeable. In this case, I know my logo is not white, so I'm going to leave it at the default white. As we scroll down here, we're going to see a data collection section. Again, this is also a photo booth app, so it allows you to create surveys. Once you have corporate clients or you have certain businesses that hire you for certain things, they may want to collect data, right? So this is a good area to explore some survey questions. Again, this is primarily used for the photo booth side, so I would ignore it for now, unless you're going to venture into the photo booth side of the software. The trigger section. Triggers here. So if you have a manual spinner, a lot of people just leave it disabled. They don't want to mess with none of the triggers, right? Or maybe you do have a manual spinner, but you also want, you want the software to trigger by face recognition or by movement. you can actually select one of these. I don't recommend it because the sensitivity varies from spinner to spinner. If you have a manual, I think the best way to do it, since you're going to spin it anyways, just deselect it and use it as is. But if you have an automatic and you don't want to be walking up to your phone and constantly to trigger your photo booth session, I would either recommend face trigger or movement trigger. Movement trigger typically kicks in by the second rotation, which means that the phone, because it has a built-in GPS module, it's able to detect that it's being moved. So the app gets triggered by that, and your session starts when you hit the on remote on your automatic spinner. So again, every spinner varies sensitivity. If it doesn't kick in, you might want to select it at a higher sensitivity. That way it's consistent every single time. Okay. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go into the trigger mode, but this is what it is in case you're curious of what triggers are. Okay. Lastly, here is your external screen. I think this is a big part that often gets overlooked because people are in such a hurry to get out there and do events. For me, I like this part because it actually creates more of a revenue stream in the sense where if you couple TouchPix with an Apple TV, you can get an Apple TV secondhand. I actually recommend you buy an Apple TV secondhand. I recommend you buy the Apple TV box. It's a small box that plugs into your TV, HDMI. It's a 3rd generation. I recommend you look for that on your Facebook Marketplace or even eBay. They don't go for probably over $40, right? And what it does is it adds a added experience for your clients. You're able to mirror live recording, where now your guests are able to see themselves being recorded. And it actually, once it's done doing the session, it does a video playback. Furthermore, it also adds QR codes underneath that specific video. So now your guests can walk up to the TV and scan that QR code and get that file instantly. Be mindful on that feature though, because it doesn't allow for us to go back into the gallery. So if the guest jumps onto the spinner, forgets to scan their QR, comes back an hour later and says, hey, can you pull up that QR code on the TV? You're not allowed to do that. It does the last 4 sessions. So just be mindful of that. But I think this is a great opportunity for branding and an upsell feature, and not a lot of other 360 softwares are able to provide. The live view recording with the iPhone 11 or 12, I think it's phenomenal. Also be mindful that this does not work with the GoPro. Let me rephrase that. It does not live view record with the GoPro, but this drop down section here, you can absolutely play a slideshow of all your video content for that event with the GoPro, or the iPhone for that matter, but just the GoPro does not support live view recording. So this is an excellent feature. It's an excellent option. I recommend you guys consider that, because this is an easy upsell, at least $150 to $200 added to your service, at the bare minimum, right? So once you're here.
I'm sorry, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Sorry. Can this work with a regular smart TV, or does it have to be an Apple TV?
So, it can if the smart TV has the Apple TV app. A lot of new smart TVs have that integrated. But this is the kicker here. I recommend against it for this reason. If you're taking a smart TV out somewhere, right, in order for that Apple TV app to function, it needs to be connected to the internet, right? Versus the Apple TV, you do not need to connect it to the internet. It's already going to communicate Apple to Apple. It creates its own little connection without having it hooked up to Wi-Fi, right? So I think that's a huge advantage. I think it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So once you get here, you're going to hit submit, right? We're almost there. We're about an hour in. That's probably since we started late. So finally, you get a QR, right? You're going to get a QR code, but I'm not ready to scan yet, right? I'm not ready. I want to design my artwork. A lot of people have questions regarding how to do this, right? So let's go into what we call the designer. And I'm going to go into the designer now. And as I go into the designer, by default, it's going to take me to the photo booth option. I'm not interested in the photo booth option. So right here on the left-hand side, I'm going to go click where it says templates. There's a drop-down menu here. For the 360 users, the slow-mo overlay is where you want to be, right? So TouchPix offers 5 different overlay templates. Template number 1 is designed more for the full body shot, the vertical template, right? If you're going to select template number 1, you click on it, it then pops over here, the silhouette pops over to the right. Just know this, if you're going to use template number 1, your phone needs to be holstered on your 360 in the vertical position. Vertical meaning that the camera's on top rather than the side, okay? But this will capture the entire body from, from head to toe, even the platform if you want to get the platform in the shot. I don't recommend it. Again, it's a preference type of thing. I think it takes away from the mystery sometimes of showing the platform, but everybody has their own style. Go at it how you feel best for your business. But this will give you a vertical shot. I think the most popular template is template number 2. The reason why I say it's popular is you notice it's a perfect square. It's Instagram friendly. People just upload onto Instagram fairly quick with that template without having to crop or alter anything. My personal favorites are actually template number 3 or 4. It just adds a wider angle to that shot, right? I tend to use 3 a lot, but I've seen people use 4 with some good success. And template 5 is just more of a cropped out portrait version. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to go with the most popular one, which is template number 2, right? Template number 2, once I click on it, you'll see the silhouette pop up. So now you're going to be wondering, well, how do I design this? Okay, I want to design some stuff. TouchPix gives you this basic designer where you're able to customize certain things like letters, like fonts, like writing on the template. We are not, it's not Photoshop. You're not going to get super detailed with this, but you can get very creative. If you don't have any design skills, then I suggest that you reach out to graphic designers. There's some very, very affordable graphic designers. For example, I use a company called photoboothtalk.com. Her name is Cherie. Yes, it's a subscription-based template service, but she gives you unlimited templates to design from and to alter. You may need a little bit of Photoshop skills to edit those templates, but she gives you all the elements, all the pieces on how to edit these types of things. You could probably benefit from that in the long run, because I think right now my fee is $100 because I've been with her for a while. I think it's $299 the first year, or it might be $199. I'm not quite sure. You might want to visit the site. But each additional year is $99. For me, $99 it's a bargain moving forward because the templates are unlimited. You can also use other graphic designers in our Facebook group. We have Michelle, I think we have Clay, we have Keith Freeman, we have Matt Calvert. We have a lot of people in our groups that are graphic designers that you reach out to them and say, hey, I need a custom artwork, and get it to me, in such time frame, and they'll conversate with you, and you guys arrange what best fits both your needs, and you move forward with that. So, but I'm going to use template number 2, and I'm going to show you guys how to do basic stuff with the designer here. Okay, so I like to go to the sticker platform here. Sticker platform. Think about it. Think of it as just what it is. Stickers, right? You can select any of these stickers and place them anywhere on that template, right? So as you can see, it has some pretty extensive designs, maybe that are catered to weddings, a lot of these other effects, baby vacation, a lot of simple clip art, and symbol that may come in useful. I think I call these embellishments. So you can use any of these designs moving forward. I'm going to see if there's let me see if there's more stuff, because I know there's symbols. You guys get the idea real quick. I'm not going to spend too much stuff, but I want to just kind of design something really, really quick for you guys. So I'm going to use these lights. So I already clicked on these lights, and if you notice, when I clicked on these lights, they popped up here. This gives me the option to expand on them, right? So now I want to expand on these lights. Right? I can make them bigger. I can rotate them if I want. Right here. This will allow me to rotate. Right? And maybe I want to put the lights just down here somewhere. And it'll give you some function where you can actually play with the saturation, some of the coloring. You can get a little creative with that, and you know, we'll leave it there. I'm just showing you guys a quick example, right? And you know, you're gonna load that up. Now say I want to load up some, maybe I'll load up another quick little symbol here. Let's try to use something. Well, let's load up some lettering, okay? So whatever design you pick, you can go ahead and do it that route, right? Now you're gonna wanna go over to text and say you wanna say happy birthday. So if you click text, you have the ability to either go large text or medium text or small text. I'm gonna go large. Once I hit large, then I'm able to drag it down, right? I'm gonna stretch it out a little bit. I'm actually gonna change the size. I'm gonna change it to a 60 maybe. It gives me a larger image. And I'm also going to change the font. TouchPix has some fonts on here. It doesn't have a lot, but it has enough to get you through a nice little section here. So let me see. Let me highlight this. Here we go.
Hey,
so go ahead.
The mic, I think it sounds like very staticky. We can barely hear you.
Is this better now?
It's like really staticky.
Okay, let me see. Let me make sure I'm actually on the right mic because I might have switched over.
You got it.
Okay, is that better now? It did switch.
Awesome.
It did switch over to my standard
all right, cool.
microphone. Okay, here we go. So, like I said, you're able to do text, and then if you want to edit the text, you're gonna double click. You're gonna double click here. You're gonna say happy birthday, right? So let's go happy birthday, right? And even if you want to change the color of the text, maybe I want a blue or some other color, you can always change it, and now it's blue, right? So this gives you, and if you still want to make the lettering bigger, I'm going to go now 75, and you have those options to kind of position it. You can always do this enable grid. It'll allow you, it'll show you whether or not it's centered or not, right? And you can actually adjust and move it as needed. You could always disable the grid as well. Let me see. So if I want to move the lights, I'll move the lights. If I want to move the name, you just hover on it, click on it, and I'm just going to say happy birthday. And it's just a quick, simple, dirty design, right? That'll get you through anything. You're able to do that in TouchPix. Now, if I didn't want to do something like this, right, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to right click on it and hit delete. And, you wanted to go buy your images from like websites like Adobe Stock, where you can buy PNG images. I would suggest you guys look for websites where you can buy PNG images. There's tons of them online. And if you do that, right, and now you can go over to uploads. If you buy your images, then you hit custom overlay. Now, if you guys remember, I always stash my files in the same folder. That way I know where to go get them. So say I do go buy my images and I buy, for example, this square for about, 50 cents or whatever. Now I selected this square here. It's just a frame, right? It's a PNG frame. I added it just like that. I bought it right offline for 50 cents. That got me that square. Now you're also able to buy certain fonts to make your own letters. Like in this case, I'm going to go back in here, and if I want to just give it more of an elegant touch and use just better fonts that I think are a little bit more modern, depending on what you are going to use them for. Let me see. Maybe I skipped them over. I still have them. Okay, so maybe I want to use this, right? Oops. Okay, so I went to the wrong place because I'm no longer wanting to select an overlay. I want to add it as a sticker, right? Sticker serves the same purpose. It's a PNG file that I bought. And once it's loaded, you'll see it pop up right up here. Now I'm going to drag it down, and it's the name of the person that that I had somebody create and just give me a PNG file, right? So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to go back into uploads. Now I'm going to couple both the gold border with the name. And if I wanted to use even my logo, right? I use that Instagram logo. I could go back up here where it says stickers. I'm going to just grab that Instagram logo, grab that, pretending that that's my logo for my business. Pops up right up here as a sticker. And now you can put it somewhere subtle where it's not going to be too intrusive if it's a wedding, just somewhere where you're going to let them know like, hey, I provided this service, and you can put it anywhere you want. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to put it right there, tuck it away on the top right-hand side. Once I'm satisfied with this actual design, I'm going to hit add template. As you recall, at the beginning, I named this event Webinar 101. So all you do is make sure that you add it to that event that you're working on, because as you can see, I have tons of other events. I want to make sure I add it to the right one. And I'm going to hit add template. It's going to add it.
Question.
It turns green. Go ahead.
So say if someone like designs the whole template for you, is there a way it just can like, you can just add it to the, and it just automatically just pops up?
Same way. So you tell somebody, I want you to design it for me. If you go over to templates, and it's a great question, by the way, because I was going to probably forget and skip that over. So you go over to, what is it, uploads, where it says custom overlay. You can hit browse and then pick the template of whoever designed it for you. It's a PNG file. You select it, and then I'll upload the whole thing, right? But they're probably going to ask you, if you're going to ask somebody, hey, I need you to design me a template, make sure you know what template you're using. If you hover over this question mark right here, it'll tell you template 1, it's 1072 by 1440 pixels. Template 2, which is the one that we're using now, is 1072 by 1072 pixels, right? So make sure you're able to provide your designer with the at least the dimensions of how to start your design. Once they give it to you, they're going to give it to you in a PNG format, and you're able to just upload it on the spot. But once you upload it, you just hit add template again, it's going to turn green, and then it's uploaded, right? So I'm gonna switch over to my iPhone. That way you guys can see exactly how I go about activating this event.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
All right. So I've been seeing I don't know if it's just the effects once the individuals have already created and had their event, or if it's during the designer, but sometimes you'll see where the sparkles are actually moving, or they'll have a backdrop where it's moving. Is that the effect?
So yeah, there's a couple of different things, right? Because TouchPix is a pretty powerful software, and we're only scratching the surface with this webinar. So there is an effects pack that you can buy here on touchpix.com. And the one that I recommend that people want to buy is the sparkles, light leaks, and confetti, right? It's a one-time purchase, it's $75, but it literally has tons of confetti type of effects that you can load at any event, right? And you can use them in different, variations, right? You'll have sparkles that pop up from the side, from the center. There's different color sparkles. There's silver, gold. It just has a lot of effects that they're already formatted for TouchPix, right? So if you want to venture out and buy these, you can do that. That's the sparkle side. The other side to it too is that TouchPix allows for animated overlays. Right now, we just went through the procedure on how to design your what we call static overlays, the frames that don't move. There's designers that are very creative in our group that actually are able to design animated overlays, which means that your frame can rotate. You can see balloons moving throughout the frame. So those are a little bit more on the advanced level side. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to go too deep into that because I want people to feel comfortable with the software. And if there's a need for that, always feel free to reach out in the Facebook group or send us an email, and we can actually shoot you to the right instructional video on how to get started with the other settings. Okay, so now that you have everything loaded on your event, I'm going to go down to where it says events, right? I'm going to go in here. This is the webinar event. As you can see, it says test. Everything here is laid out. A pro tip, right? If it's taking you a long time to design something on the designer and you don't want to have to do it all the single time over and over again, you can select here over the overlay tab, right? The overlay tab will give you your actual design, right? So what you can do is actually right click this image here and hit save as, and it'll save this entire frame as one file. So you can actually upload it again for a different event. In this case, what I would do is probably remove the name, leave the gold frame and my logo up here, save it just as that, and then as I move forward, maybe I'll use the same gold frame for another event and just change out the name. So that's a pro tip that I would encourage people to use, okay? So now
I
I'm
have a
gonna
question.
Go ahead.
Can you have multiple overlays per event?
No.
Okay.
It's designed for one overlay per event. It'll just cause a lot of confusion, a lot of, it'll be hard to manage. There's probably a way to do it within your workflow, but I'm not going to teach it in this tutorial because it's going to involve switching out the settings and switching it out through your, on the fly, basically. And
I had a client ask if we could do 2 different types of designs the guest can pick from, as well as song choices. If guests can pick
so it's easier to manage with song choices, but with designs, you're going to need a laptop there. And the way I do it with song choices, right? I really don't give a client that much of a choice with how many songs they pick. I usually say, we're going to use one copyright-free song, but I understand, every client has their own preference, and if they're hiring you, you want to appease them. But the way I would do certain scenarios is if they hire you for 3 hours, I would say, look, typically we do one song. As an upcharge, I can add a second or third song, but the way I would manage that is switch the songs every hour. That's more feasible for you to do. If you start asking the person when they go on the platform, hey, what song do you want to hear? It's going to be an uncontrolled environment for you, super confusing. It's going to definitely add a lot of stress. But if you have it laid out already where you made an agreement with the client, you can switch those out on the fly. As far as the actual templates, those you will need a laptop with you to switch them out, but it's definitely doable. I'm just not going to show you in this class because this is more of a beginner class, and I want people to get a good. I want them to feel grounded before moving to those advanced features. Once you're here, what you're going to do is now click on your QR, right? Are you guys able to see my split screen? Are you guys able to see my iPhone or no?
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys are able to see my iPhone, I just reinstalled my my TouchPix app. I'm going to go ahead and open it. I'm going to hit activate event, right? It's going to tell me if I want to test event or activate. I want to activate this event. TouchPix now allows people to test events with watermarks, so you don't have to buy an event to be able to test. So I'm going to hit activate. I'm going to give permissions to everything. The camera is one of them. I'm going to now scan the QR code. As you can see, it says scanning. I'm going to blow up my phone now because we're going to pivot in that direction. Now
are you scanning it from a different device?
I'm scanning it from my iPhone. Yeah. I used the computer to set it up. Now I'm scanning it from my iPhone. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to give it permissions for the local network. I'm going to give it permissions for the microphone. I'm going to give it permissions for the Bluetooth. And of course, I'm going to allow access to all photos. It's very important because TouchPix stores everything onto your photo camera roll. If you're using an external display, you may see this pop up. TouchPix has default animations when using an external display. So it needs to load these up real quick for the first time. I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, the wheel is spinning and it's gonna load them up fairly quick. And as you can see, the Instagram logo that I use, pretending it's my logo, popped up in the back, right? I'm holding the phone on in portrait mode, so it looks a little bit.
So I have no clue what they tell me.
So now I'm holding it landscape, so it looks a little bit better. This is the position I'm going to put it on my spinner for. So once you're in this position, right, what you need to do if you have an iPhone 11 or 12 or using iPads to capture video, or even GoPro for this matter, I need you, for the GoPro users, just wait, follow along, just wait. I'll tell you what you need to do in this position here. This top icon here with the little hamburger, you're going to select it. You're going to go into settings. Once you go into settings, basically all your settings were converted over to your iPhone when you scan the QR. As you scroll up, the important settings are as follows, right? The camera, if you're using a iPhone 11 or 12, make sure it's on the rear camera. Now, if you're using a GoPro, this is where you make the change and flip this toggle over to GoPro. For now, I'm going to leave it on rear camera, right? Once you do that, I want you guys to go into camera settings. You only have to do this the initial setup, or if you ever delete the app and reinstall it, you're going to have to repeat these steps. Camera settings. I'm going to leave it on auto face exposure, right? If you scroll down to the left-hand column, the second box, it says lens. You're going to scroll up. I'm going to set it to ultra wide. If you have an iPhone 11 or 12, ultra wide is the correct setting. Now I want to focus, and it's telling me if I understood, changing it to ultra wide. It's gonna have me reselect the slow-mo speed, which I'm gonna set next. The top box on the second box, the top right, I'm gonna hit slow-mo speed. This is where we select the actual slow-mo speed. There's a lot of choices here. However, you're gonna want to select 1920 by 1080 at 120 frames per second. There's two of them. Select the first one. Once it's selected, you're going to hit done, right?
I have a question.
Sure.
During a couple of my events that I recently hosted, one of the event, it had a spin where you couldn't see anything in the background because it spun really fast. And then the second event, you could see everything in the background. What speed should I turn it to where you can't see what's in the background? You can only see the person.
No, I think, you know what, let's talk offline on that. I think some of your settings might have gotten mixed up, but typically you're going to be able to see the background. Of course, it's going to focus on the platform, whatever is lit up the best, but there's always going to be that chance where, you know, you're going to see things in the background. Obviously, we're going at a slow frame rate, so you're going to capture some of the background, you know, some of the background attention or noise. But if you have more specifics to that, I'd like to touch base with you offline and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, because I thought it was actually really cool that you could only see the person on the platform and you couldn't see, it was spinning like so fast that you couldn't see anything but the person.
And that might have been the case, depending on, every spinner is a little different. Some spinners spin super fast. The one I'm going to show you here today, I think spins faster than others, but they all have a speed controller and you can adjust it. But I think it's just, if it spins fast, that means it's going to capture your subject with the lower frame rate. It's probably going to concentrate better on your subject and not the background noise. So
okay, let's talk offline, because the spinner itself was spinning slow, but the image that was being converted was fast.
Okay, well, let's talk offline. I'm curious to see what the output looks like. But once you hit,
another question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I've noticed sometimes I'll see people's videos and they'll be kind of pixelated. Is there a way to eliminate that?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Okay. So once you have your settings here, 1920, 1080, this is where you hit go back, right? And I'm gonna show you guys after you guys go back. Before you hit save and close, you're gonna hit the bottom banner that says Video Effects Creator. I'm gonna show you that these are where the effects live. TouchPix has a lot of effects, right? As you can see, we have what's called the collage effect, where it splits it into 4. We have hyper zoom, which is my colleague's George Velasco's favorite effect. We have a bunch of other effects that you can actually play with that would just kind of change the output, right? So right now we can add up to 3 effects at once. Audio is always going to take 1, so you can add 2 more. I'm going to show you guys the collage, okay? So I'm going to show you guys the collage. I'm going to go ahead and click the collage here. Once you click on it, you're going to see it pop up in this gray box here. Once it's in the gray box, I'm going to click on it again. And then you're going to see that this little bar opens up right here. This means if it's all the way to the right, this just means that I want that effect to play through the entire video. I don't want that effect to play through the entire video. I want it to play only through the first half of the video, right? So I move it to the halfway point. Now I'm going to select hyper zoom, right, as my third effect. And I'm going to select hyper zoom from this gray box down here. And I want hyper zoom to play the ending portion of the video, the last part. So now I have audio, collage, and hyper zoom. And if you guys are curious and see videos out there that have a video promo at the end of the person's business, this is where you load it, right? It's an MP4 file. Depending on what template you use, in this case, we use the square template. You can have a graphic designer make you a promotional, we call it an outro video. It's a post-roll video. Make sure that whoever makes it for you makes it the same size as the template. In this case, I'm also going to pick one, right? So I'm going to hit post-roll. I store my files. You can store it in the gallery. I use Dropbox. You don't have to use Dropbox. As you can see, you can use your camera roll now. But for me, I'm going to use, let me see if I can find one. Okay, I'm going to use this one here. I called it Rose logo for an event that I did earlier this year. So once I loaded it, you no longer see it that says post roll, right? So it's already loaded. And I now have audio, collage effects, hyper zoom, and my outro video. I can preview the clip, but I'm not going to do it because I'd rather show you guys live how it looks. And then what I'm going to do is hit go back on the top.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the audio. Is the audio going to stay at the full volume, or is it going to stay at 0.5 like the other two?
No, the audio stays at the full volume. I did not alter the audio whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
The audio came from the web interface. So once I hit go back, this is to touch base on the person that was asking me questions about pixelization. By default, when you install TouchPix, it'll install it with medium quality. You may notice a little bit of pixelization with medium quality, but if you want the absolutely best image, you're going to want to select this box here all the way down here to ultra high quality. This will give you the best output image available, right? So you make sure you select that. And if you scroll down, basically you're going to notice that a lot of these settings are the settings that we set up on the web interface. There's nothing more that needs to be added. So I'm going to hit save and close, okay? And we're pretty much ready to start a quick session. Should I show you guys what it looks like real quick, or do you guys want me to jump into the sharing station and then we'll take
yes.
pictures?
Show
okay.
us.
Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna try to load it up on my spinner, and I'll turn on the camera real quick. You guys want to ask away while I
This is the device that you're putting on the spinner, correct?
What's that?
Is this the device you're putting on the spinner, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
I have a suggestion, maybe show the different effects and how you can process them to see what they look like within the video effects creator.
Oh, okay, definitely, man. We can definitely take care of that.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When you said about the Apple TV, you said that say if I had a touch screen TV, could I use that as a sharing station? Will it with the Apple TV instead of the iPad?
No, unfortunately, no. I mean, you can't even hook up an iPad to be a touch display, right? Because there's just limitations behind that.
Well,
I mean, I wish you could. You could do an iPad, right? But you can't.
Yeah, I can do an iPad sharing station. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if I could do a touch screen as well. And
Yeah.
for his music, the MP3s, I'm a DJ as well, and our record pool. As of January, ASCAP has put are now doing away with MP3s. So we got to find other ways because they're doing everything live streaming starting in January 2022.
Yeah, no, that's a limit. That's definitely a limitation.
Yeah,
I mean, we have no control over. But I hear what you're saying. Definitely. Oops. Give me a second. I was trying to turn off the screen mirroring. Sorry.
Okay, so I just got confused there. We can use an iPad for a sharing station, correct?
You can, correct. You can.
Yes, because what I did, I found that I went and got internet put on my iPad. So I still use the people's when I go to the event. I still use their internet if they have it, but it's good to have the internet on your iPad as well. It's only I only pay like $10 a month for it to have internet on my iPad, so I won't have to look for nobody else's internet, and that allows me to do different parties in different places, like say a park or whatever, and everything. So you might want to look at that, and the connection to it to hook it up is very easy as well, and it works. It seems like it works. It's been working for me.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off this iPhone real quick for screen mirroring real quick. I'm gonna try to show you guys live. Give me a sec. Bear with me.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So with when you are using the iPhone and then you're using the iPad as a sharing station, do they both, in order to do that, do they both have to work off of the same Apple ID?
Well, if you have the white label, no. But if you do not have the white label, there may be some issues there. Because we recommend that obviously you use if you have the white label, you don't need them to match. If you do not have the white label, yeah, you do. You need to be under the same Apple ID.
In order for it to be a sharing station, right?
Correct.
Does that also work with the Apple TV? The same way?
No, the Apple TV is not really associated with that, right? So let's see if I can explain this to you guys real quick. Bear with me.
Before you do that, can I ask just really quick?
Go ahead.
If you have a trial subscription, and because I'm doing it while you're doing it, and it's telling me that I have to purchase the subscription right now instead of using a trial, is that right?
I'm not familiar. So what is it that you're trying to do?
So remember how TouchPix gives you a 7-day trial, so
Correct.
you can work your way through it. So I'm trying to do that, and I'm trying to activate my 7-day trial, and I did.
Okay.
But it's now telling me to purchase before I can.
No. So if you activated your 7-day trial, where it says activate event, right? Right underneath that, there's a little tab that says subscriptions.
Yep.
Right. And then you tap on that, you're going to be taken to a price page with different packages.
Yep.
You scroll all the way to the bottom and hit restore purchases.
Oh, okay.
And then you should see a prompt saying your purchase has successfully been restored.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So check this out. I'm going to show you guys the Apple TV real quick. This is my iPhone mounted on my spinner with the little light on top that I just turned on, right? The way you mirror your Apple TV, obviously you see the TV there. This is my iPhone. The way you do it is from the right corner of your phone, right? You drag it to the middle, hit screen mirror. My Apple TV will now pop up, and I have a few of them. So as you can see, now my screen switched over, right? It switched over to something completely different, right? So now I
Please
could
do
go.
that one more time.
Okay. I'm on my iPhone. My Apple TV is already connected, right? But on your iPhone, you're going to do the screen mirror. Doesn't matter if you have your phone horizontal or in landscape mode. You're going to grab your finger from the top right-hand corner, slowly drag it to the middle of the screen, right? You're going to see this window called your control panel jump on, and you'll see the option that says screen mirror right here where I just selected it, right? And once you hit screen mirror, it'll see your Apple TV. And then that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a session. That way you guys can see it completely. And I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to try to point it both at the TV so you can see the live recording and you can see the actual phone. Bear with me. I have a small little room here, so trying to do what I can to best illustrate this. So I'm going to hit slow-mo. I'm going to go ahead and tap start on this. Right? Look at the TV. See this live recording on the TV. You'll see the countdown on the TV. 3, 2. I turned on my spinner. Right now it's spinning super slow. Here we go. 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 And then I stopped it. Right? I have my spinner on the battery pack, and I think the battery's probably super low. That's why it started a little slow. But now the TV is prompting you, right? I have a bunch of the filters that I added for you guys to see. So I have a bunch of stuff that, you know, that typically people don't add, but that way you guys can probably see it best there. So it's prompting you. It's adding the outro video now. Now after the outro video, it's gonna add the audio, and then it's gonna play it back, and then you'll see a QR code ready to go. So adding audio, that's the last phase, and the playback should begin any second now. 2, 1, and it should go right about now.
On average, how long does it take for it to load?
It depends. I have it set to, remember, I have it set to 6 seconds. So that's the collage effect. You see it splitting into 4, right? The screen, and then it's going to go into a hyper zoom. You see the hyper zoom? So those are the effects. I'm not going over the animated overlays, stuff like that, but it actually didn't even load my. Look at this. I want you guys to see this live. I'm getting a phone call, which stopped my situation. So if you guys have an iPhone and you guys are using it with an active line, I recommend that you guys put it on airplane mode and turn on Wi-Fi, because if you guys get a phone call, it's going to disrupt whatever it is that it's doing. I'm going to do one more sample, and then we're going to go over to the sharing station, and then I'm going to open it up for questions, and we're going to call it a night, hopefully. I'm hoping that this is helpful for you guys to actually see it live. You know, so I'm going to go ahead and hit start one more time. Again, you'll see it. I'm going to try to turn it on. 3, 2, 1. Now I turned on my spinner. It's moving, it's moving, it's moving. Now I stopped it.
Okay, so I hope this is not a silly question. How do you know when to stop it?
Well, the TV is telling me, it's telling you the record countdown. It's basically counting down your 6 seconds of your 6 seconds, right? So it's counting 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I just click and stop. So you're always having a visual of when it stops recording. I'm not staring at the phone. I'm staring more at the TV, but you can actually stare at the phone too, right? And you'll see the prompts already kind of going. So this is kind of like I think I set it at 6 6 seconds. So, but I also added 2 added filters, I added an outro video, I added a bunch of stuff. So that's why it's probably taking a little longer than usual. The more you add, the longer the processing time. But just so you guys can see, you know, an up enclosed version of what it looks like.
So you have already chose the song that you want as well playing?
Yeah, it's already playing in the background.
I guess I missed something, so I guess I privately messaged you. But so if you're on the iPad,
and
you
there's
can
my
hold
outro, there's the outro video, right?
I see you got a light on top of your phone, and you got lights around it. Is it necessary to still put an extra light on top, or that's just something that you just?
Yes, I as a pro tip, I absolutely think it's necessary. Obviously, if you're doing an outdoor event on daylight, no, it's not necessary. But most venues or most events that we do as event professionals, we do events where the lighting is super dim, right? And you know, we encourage that because lighting is super dim, you need to light up your subject correctly. You know, and I'll let you guys download this real quick, right? I'll let you guys download it real quick. Are you guys able to scan that QR code through, or is it not focused enough?
No, it's not focused enough.
There you go. You guys are able to
Will we
scan
be able
this.
to go back and watch the video later?
Yeah, you guys can scan this from your personal devices, and it should take you to my library, and you guys can see the output.
I got a question. What kind of external battery pack are you using?
For my spinner? For what?
For the spinner.
Yeah,
just
I'm
in case
using
someone has an automatic spinner and wants to take it in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well, the one that I'm using, actually, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. So I bought a manual spinner a while back, and I converted this one into a motorized spinner. So I'm pretty familiar with the electronics. So a lot of the spinners work off a 12-volt system. So again, I'm not here to, you know, endorse that this works for every spinner. Do your research with your manufacturer. If you find out that you're on a 12-volt motor, then any 12-volt battery off Amazon will work, right? There's some spinners out there that work off a 24-volt system. So be very careful if you're going to try this. We're not responsible for anything. I'm just answering the question because I find it beneficial for me to operate my spinner with a battery pack versus taping down cables with gaff tape and doing all that mess.
With your spinner, would you ever consider doing an event on sand?
Yeah, for sure.
And would you put some, like, what do you think you would put down underneath of it? Because that's a possibility for me right now.
Oh, if I were to do something on sand, I would use, I would probably use a inch cutout of some type of square plywood, right? And then on top of the plywood, I would put some type of carpet, right? Because you want stability. You don't want it to be rocking back and forth.
Right.
Hey, DJ One, two things. You said that was a manual booth that you had that you turned into automatic?
Yeah, that's correct, man.
Okay, well, can I touch bases with you on that later so you can teach me how to do that? And then second thing, where'd you get them lights at?
These lights here, I picked them up in China, I think, man. They took a long time to get here.
Okay, no,
but you know what? I might sell them because I have a lot of damn stuff, man, and I need to downsize some stuff. So if you're interested, look, man, just reach me. You can reach me on the Facebook group, send me a DM. We can talk, man. It's just right now I just want to keep it really TouchPix related because
okay, got you.
This is time for TouchPix stuff.
Understandable.
Yeah, man. So look, I'm gonna show you. Go ahead.
What kind of the phone kind of phone holder is that where you can put your phone and the LED light on top of it?
Yeah, this brand is called, man, we can link you with a lot of different stuff. This brand is called, you can get it on Amazon, man. Shit, let me see. Give me a sec here. I think the camera shut off real quick. The brand is called Ulanzi. I don't know if you can see that. Did the camera pop back on?
Yeah, we can.
There it is. Ulanzi with the cold shoe on top.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, so that's called the cold shoe.
Pay attention.
All right, I'm gonna go into the sharing station and hopefully we can wrap it up with some questions at the end. But I think it's very important that I cover the sharing station real quick as well.
Okay.
And then I'll show you guys kind of what's going on. So I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen real quick because I do feel like this is very important for you guys to be successful. Let me see where we at.
Sharing station mandatory.
Okay, are you guys able to see my computer screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is what we're gonna do with the sharing station, okay? So I'm gonna go to my account, go to events. And under events, I'm gonna go over, I already created this event here, right? Webinar 101. It's important that each device has its own QR code, right? I don't wanna activate, using the same QR code multiple devices, because then you're gonna have to delete the app and reinstall it because there's not going to be a way for you to successfully close the event. So what I'm going to do is go over here to manage on this event and then hit edit, or I'm sorry, not edit. I'm going to hit the middle duplicate event. So I'm going to hit duplicate. And then it's telling me that this is a copy. So I'm going to erase where it says copy, and I'm just going to rename that part sharing station. That way I know it belongs to the Webinar 101 sharing station, right? So once I submit that, it's gonna give me a QR code. So now what I'm gonna do is grab my iPad real quick. I'm gonna grab my iPad. I'm gonna scan into that event on TouchPix. You guys are not gonna see that part, but.
And this on the computer, right?
Yeah. So I just scanned into it.
So you want to set this up before you go to the event. So you'll set this up before you go to the event then.
Yeah. So now we're gonna go over to the iPad now, right? This is where we're gonna go. Okay, I'm giving it permissions. I just scanned into it, right? I give it permissions for everything. So essentially, it's also downloading all the resources that the iPhone requested. I'm gonna grab my iPhone real quick. Because the sharing station is very easy to set up when done correctly. Let it load.
Can you let them know to make sure they press the right buttons while they're setting up the sharing station?
Yeah. So let me see. I'm gonna just put them side by side right now. Just that way I can navigate through it a little bit better. Okay, so there's a couple of things I recommend when you guys are setting up your sharing station. Once the event is loaded, I need you guys to go into your iPad settings, the original settings, right? So you're gonna go into the settings, right? Once you're in here, there's a couple of things I want you to make sure that are working accurate. So you're gonna go into the general tab here. Once you go into the general tab, you're gonna wanna go into where it says AirDrop, right? Once you're in AirDrop, you want to see how mine by default it says contacts only. I don't want it on contacts only. I want it set to everyone, right? That way everyone I can see everybody's AirDrop ID. Once it's set there, I'm going to hit go back. And then I'm going to go to the left-hand side where it says display and brightness. It's right there. And on display and bright, when I go into display and brightness under auto lock, I'm going to set auto lock over. Let me see if I can zoom in. I'm going to set it to never. That way the display doesn't fall asleep and lose connections. Once I do that stuff, then I'll go back into TouchPix again, right? I do the same thing with my iPhone. When you're setting up the sharing station, you always start with your iPad first. always start first. So you're going to want to go into gallery. You'll see that little S on the top left-hand corner, right? Tap on the little S. you're going to get a menu. You're going to hit activate receiver. Okay, that S now turns into an R. Then you're going to go over to your iPhone. You're also going to go to gallery, right? The little S on the top left-hand side, tap on that, and we're going to hit activate sender. Now it says, look, I found an iPad. I'm going to select iPad, and now it says successfully connected, right? It says I can actually exit out. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. And I've successfully connected now my images are popping up, right? They're popping up right now.
So earlier you mentioned that once we have the Apple TV on, it gives the option of them being able to scan a QR code after they do their live recording.
Correct, right there.
Once you said they'll walk away, if they came back to try to find their thing, will the sharing station, they could just get it from the sharing station at that point, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I did everything what you just said with the sharing and the iPad being my receiver, and my iPhone is basically the deliverance. Okay, the problem that I'm having is when I share on my iPad, for instance, I did a couple of videos, but when I go on to like for instance, if I'm gonna show you here, if I click onto one, what it's doing is not allowing me to see to get the QR code or anything. It just blanks right back out real fast, and I don't know exactly what am I doing wrong.
So I'll tell you what you're doing, but let me finish this and I'll circle back to that, okay? Because there is one thing that I overlooked on this that I should have told you guys as well. It's important that on your settings tab for both devices, it doesn't
Stoney, turn that down.
It doesn't necessarily
I'm sorry, I wasn't gonna say anything, but is it possible for everybody to just go on mute? Like, it's very difficult to hear what he's saying. People are interrupting, like questions, like it's like 50, 60 people on the phone. Just please. Thanks.
Okay. So the part that I overlooked where I should have started with the sharing process is to just make sure that your Wi-Fi is on, right? Doesn't really need to be connected. Well, your sharing station should be connected to something, but they need to be on. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on both devices need to be on. Your phone doesn't need to have Wi-Fi connected to anything specifically, but the actual iPad, does need some type of Wi-Fi to be able to share out. Right?
So the iPad goes to the hotspot that you said we should purchase, but the cell phone is okay by itself.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So what if you don't have a hotspot and you're just using the iPad with the data plan on it?
No, then that's fine.
Wi-Fi
you're fine then. You still have to leave Wi-Fi on. It doesn't have to be connected to anything, but just leave it on. Okay.
Well, sometimes like the Wi-Fi, it connects to like a different network that has
no.
Well,
then you have to. There's a settings where you have to make it forget or ask you before joining a network, right? On your network settings.
All right.
So once you see it there, then you can click. This is your sharing station. You can click on any of the videos. It's doing the video playback. Sorry, my cable on my camera is going bad, so it's having to keep it started. Give me a second. Okay, so this is the sharing station. These are your sharing icons, right? Obviously, if this is the QR code, you need Wi-Fi for this to pop up. This is your text message, SMS that'll send. I'll send one real quick. That way you guys can see exactly, how it looks when it sends. It turns green, right? And then if I go back over to done, or if I even go back to my to the specific sync button, the sync button makes sure that everything from your phone gets synchronized to your sharing station as well. So it's a good feature to have.
Do you recommend having a sharing station? Because I just got into it. I haven't even, I'm like, only had it a few days. Do you recommend a sharing station?
Yeah, well, I do. I mean, there's different ways to share, but I actually, it'll make your life easier as far as workflow goes. I'm gonna go into a different mode right now where I can show you how to share without a sharing station. So this is what I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna toggle out of here, and then I'm gonna take questions. Okay, so this is gonna be the last, absolutely last part. Then I'm gonna open it up for questions. Give me one quick second here. I'm gonna just stop this. Let me stop this. Okay. So now you guys are able to see my screen again, right? And give me one sec. Okay. So now you guys are able to see my screen. So if you go to your events real quick, this is a way to share without a sharing station. That is, but you still need Wi-Fi, okay? So I recommend that when you guys set up an event like I did, always run a couple of test shots at home. What that does is it allows the system to create this online gallery for you. So if you look at my event here, you'll see this gallery tab. If I hit gallery, right? If I hit gallery, it has the 3 videos here that I just did, right? These are the videos I just did. It'll have them, and I can play them back at will, right? Might be a little bit of a delay, but still playing. Oh, that's the first one with no movement. Let's do the second one. So you guys get a good idea of, you know, how it looks. And again, I'm in a dim lighting environment, but kind of did that on purpose, but it is what it is. So those are the effects. That's the outcome. You see the TV saying record. You can capture all of that stuff. And, you know, away we go. That's outro video that gets plugged in at the end of the video. But this is the way to share, right? So I'm going to exit out of here. Once you do test sessions, you go into your gallery, then you'll see this little link pop up here where it says public URL, right? This public URL is gold, right? So I'm going to click on this. This is what you can send your clients, right? Or in this case, what I want you guys to do when you guys do a couple of them, this is how they'll see it. You'll see my branding in the back, you know, pretend it's your logo. This is how it'll be delivered. So this is your online gallery that gets uploaded when you have Wi-Fi. So what you can do is this URL up here, you can go ahead and highlight the top and hit copy, right? Then what I do is I go to this website called Qrcodemonkey.com. It's a free website, right? You guys can take a snapshot of the, you know, what it's called, but it's super useful. What you can do here is now, and I'm going to paste that URL right in here where it says your URL. I'm going to hit paste. You can actually customize this QR code with your logo. So I can add a logo. Now I'm going to pretend my logo is Pinterest or whatever. So I'm telling this program to create a QR code, taking them to the URL, and then I'm adding this image, and I'm hitting create a code, right? So this is the code now it creates. Pretend as Pinterest is your logo, right? So now all I can do is hit download. It's going to download like a picture of this. What I do is before every event, this is kind of my backup to my backup, right? Because I'm always thinking ahead. In case the sharing station breaks connection, what am I going to do? You know, what if, you know, I get stuck with certain scenarios. So what I do now is I take this image here and I'll take it to like Walmart, Walgreens, anywhere that does those quick little 30-minute prints, right? And I print it in an 8x10 picture frame. I buy a picture frame for like a couple of dollars. I place that QR code in that picture frame, and now I leave it for my guest on the table. So after every session, I can just tell my guest, you know what, you want your picture? Scan that QR code, and it'll take them straight to the gallery, and they could download it from their own device. Does that make sense for everybody? Or did I lose you?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay. So yeah,
I'm
so
here.
I would encourage you guys to, you know, to try this route, because you don't need a sharing station. You don't need to take an iPad station if you use this route.
Please,
Obviously, the
I can't
iPad.
hear. Get out.
The iPad looks a little bit better, but you know, this is a way to avoid taking so much equipment.
Can
I
you
have a
print that
question.
out yourself, like off your printer? Can you
Yeah, you
print
can.
that on your
Yeah,
own?
yeah, you can print it on your own as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said something about Walgreens 30 minutes. Is this something that you're doing at the event or when you get
No,
home?
this is before I go to my event, right? So the common practice or the common workflow for something like this is if like, for example, I have a wedding coming up this Saturday. I'm going to be ready to go for this wedding no later than tomorrow. I'll have my stuff ready to go. I'll have my stuff tested, my templates loaded. I'll have a couple of test sessions already made on that gallery, and I'll print it no later than Friday before I leave for that wedding on Saturday, right? I'll have it printed either on my house or I'll send it to Walgreens. You know, I'll have it done. This should not be done the day of the event. You know, just keep it in your mind that everybody's doing events. Please do not do your setup process the day of your event. Yes, it's possible. Yes, there's a higher probability something is going to go wrong because you didn't prepare enough. So give yourself some days.
Okay, I asked this question a little earlier. You was trying to finish. You're talking about the QR codes. That's exactly what I'm having a problem with. I did my sharing station, and the videos are syncing over onto the iPad. But the problem that is I want to get the QR code so so they can be able to share their videos. But what's going on is that I see the videos, but when you click on them, they just pop away. It pops back away. So is this something that I'm doing that I'm setting up, or
yeah? So there's two areas. Okay, so let's go here. Watch. Let's go over two events. There's two things that may be triggering that. First of all, is your sharing station on? Is it on? Do you have it on landscape mode or is it vertical? Your sharing station currently. Vertical means it's up and down, like the one that's right here.
Yeah, more the portrait. Yes, I have it standing up more of the portrait.
Okay, perfect.
Style.
So more than likely, this is what your issue is. If you go into your event and go under edit event, right, under manage, hit edit. If you go in here, I could guarantee you I'm about 95% sure that during your timeouts right here on the sharing portion, you either have it set to 3 seconds or less.
I have it on 0.
Yeah. If you put it on 12, you'll have more than enough time to allow people to share. Basically, you're telling the program you don't want that to stay on the screen that long.
Okay, so I'm doing everything else straight. That was it. So I basically had it on 0. That's why it's popping away.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, so I have time for some questions now. For me, it's about 7. I know for some of you it's about 10. You know, I can take some questions as we go. Probably I'll dedicate another 10, 15 minutes to it, trying to wrap this thing up. And
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I was a little late to the webinar. Can you give me the app or download? I'm trying to add audio to my overlay for an event I have.
Oh, you mean the programs? You want to try audiojungle.net. You might want to try Ben Sound, Bravo, Edward, Nancy, sound.com. You might want to try epidemicsound.com. All of these have royalty-free music where you can download. If you register, they'll give you, I think, maybe 4 or 5 free tracks.
You said bensound.com?
Correct.
Can you spell that?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Can you spell that?
Ben Sound, B as in Bravo, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, Sound. S as in Sam, O as in Ohio, U as in Umbrella, N as in Nancy, D as in Delta.com.
Okay, and once I download that, it's just a matter of me saving or downloading the song.
It's a matter of you looking for the right song that you want to use, because there's literally thousands of songs and thousands of genres to choose from.
Right, and then but I will add this. Well, I will add that song to the effect as if I'm adding
Yeah, you're gonna save
sparkles
it.
or something. It's in
Yeah,
the
you're
same
gonna,
little area, right?
exactly. Or you could do it
Okay.
online. You can do it online. It's a drop down section that says audio files, and just point it, and that's it.
Online where on the TouchPick app?
Yeah,
You
on the
already
top.
showed me that?
Correct. Yeah. So if you go online here, just go to events. I'm gonna go here briefly.
You can't use YouTube then, huh?
Well, you may be able to, but I can't legally show you how. But there's a high probability.
Right. I
that
know.
you can.
Yeah, I know how to convert it.
Yeah, so it's right here. See where it says add audio under function?
Okay.
This is where you add it.
Okay. So I
Will,
just need
inst-
to have, okay.
will instrumentals be the same as vocals in MP3s? Can we use the MP3s? I mean the just instrumentals without the words?
I mean, no, because this still belongs to a record label. I mean, look,
Okay.
yeah, it's hard. I know it's hard.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I tried to do I recorded a couple of things, and then when I tried to text it to someone, it kept showing no images found. But when I was able to pull the QR code and they scanned it, it came up with no issue. And it did the same thing with email. It wouldn't go through. So what am I doing wrong with that?
Yeah. So again, you're just trying to send it to somewhere.
Yeah, I was trying to text it and send an email with the link to the person. It wouldn't go through. It said no images found, but when they scanned the QR code, it was sitting right there with no problem.
Yeah, maybe you didn't allow it enough time for it to upload onto the cloud. Maybe you want to try it again, text it again, and see if that works now.
Okay, thank you.
How many send?
I said not supposed to be talking.
What's the average price?
Send the event to the people.
It's supposed to be pressing.
Okay, one at a time, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. How will we send once you finish an event? How will we send all the copies to a customer?
Yeah, so I just went over that. So you go over to events, right? You go over to events, and then you hit gallery, right? And once you hit gallery, you're gonna want to copy this public gallery. This is what you send your clients, this public gallery. You cut and paste that and send them this link, and that's it.
Okay, we cut and paste it to the email or something?
Yeah,
or?
to the email, correct.
Okay, all right.
You have to do that on the computer, or you can do it from your iPhone.
You can do it from your iPhone.
All right. Now I have one more question for you. What about price? What's the average price?
Yeah, man, that's gonna vary in market. Look, you guys would be shocked what I get in my area. I'm in California, right? I'm in probably closer to the Bay Area, San Jose closer to San Jose and Oakland, but I know LA people are charging about $300-400 an hour. I'm at $1,000 an hour over here where I'm at, right? I'm not worried about the $300-400 rentals, right? But also I'm confident that my output is going to look very different from the $300 or $400 output, right? So I kind of like to show out with presentation. So there's a lot of presentation in my setups that your typical event might not have.
DJ1, can you post a picture of your setup, like when you enter the event for me, please?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, just follow me on the groups. I'm about to show out this July. I haven't really had the time.
Well, I'm in the
man,
group. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Would this recording be available to everyone?
Yeah, it'll be available to everybody. But what I'm trying to say is kind of know your worth, man, because look, you've already dropped a few thousand on the spinner. You're gonna drop another few thousand on your iPhone, iPad, lighting, batteries, backdrops. Man, you're already gonna be in the hole for about $7,000. So it doesn't make sense to go out there, and I understand the mindset. It's like, man, I gotta hurry up and make some money back before it's over. But in reality, I'm going for the higher end clientele that are gonna pay me no problem, right? So it's either me do 20 of the little events or me just do 2 of the big ones, and I'm still straight, So but everybody's in a different situation. You guys got to eat. I understand that, but just know your worth, right? Know your worth. Don't be putting this out there, and making $100, $200 an hour, because it's just, it's just creating, it's creating not conflict within yourselves, but, people are going to be expecting that the service is not what it's worth on the high end, right? So, but
Definitely agree. Drives the prices down. I have a question about the gallery. It's my understanding that those videos stay live for 12 months. Is that
yeah,
correct?
they're gonna stay live as long as you have an account, right? So if you have the account longer than 12 months, you'll be good. But I think typically, because our user base has increased, I think 12 months is a great timeline for you to access that. And as you can see on my screen right now, you could always download here, and it'll download it into a zip file where you can download the entire folder in one, right? So just know that.
What are the backup measures and different things? Like, how secure is it?
So this is secure because we're using Amazon Web Services. It's encrypted, secured. The other backup measure that you have for your content is always your iPhone, right? And every time you close an event, make sure that your gallery, meaning this screen, matches the same amount of video that's on your iPhone, right? Your iPhone is like your ultimate backup. Once you find out that it matches, then you can delete them from your iPhone, right? There's actually a button there that says, when you close out the event, it'll say delete original files, yes or no. You can delete them at will, but just know that there's double backup measures. There's your cloud service, and then there's your physical device, which has the original storage.
Is there a certain way you close out your events?
No, so just the original QR code. What you want to do is just make sure that you're in a good area where good Wi-Fi is available. You hit close event. It's going to have you scan the QR code. You scan it, and just make sure you don't allow that device to fall asleep. And if you have good internet, it'll close rapidly, right? If you have slow internet, it's going to take a while.
Okay, but your QR code is on your computer at home. So you got to wait till you get home to close it out?
No, man. I mean, you can get creative with that. It doesn't need to stay on your computer. You could always take a picture of it from your cell phone and print a picture of it and carry it in your pocket. You know what I mean? Just because it's on the computer,
I got you.
Doesn't mean that you have to actually.
Hey, well, let me ask you a question. On the QR code, the one that you said that you can have people share it. Can you put that? Can you copy that and put that on an iPad or something? Something digital?
For sure, no doubt. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Get creative with that, man.
Question and related to the trigger.
Okay.
The trigger feature, do you have to purchase the actual trigger from TouchPix for the feature to work?
Yes, right now you do. There is a trigger feature right now. The trigger feature is for automatic spinners. I actually have it hooked up to this spinner here. I'm the one that ships them here locally out of the States. Let me rephrase that. I ship Trigger Box 1 locally out of the States. Trigger Box 2 does come from the Netherlands, which is where the app is from, right? So, but each spinner is different. So the reason there's two separate triggers right now is because, Trigger 1 applies to a lot of the, Selfie Box 96 spinners, your Revel spins, automatic spinners, and Trigger Box 2, although it also works a little bit with Selfie Box 96, it works better with other spinners too, like maybe Atlanta Photo Booth and other companies as well.
Okay. I'm in Detroit. Not to cut you off, but a lot of people, I talked to a couple people, they were telling me that the prices, I should start off around like $250. All I have right now is just a manual photo booth and my lights. Yeah, man, look, I do know I get tons of calls from Detroit. I get tons of calls from Atlanta. I do know that there's some hot spots, and it's a little hard, man, to go into a market that's already saturated. But look, I'm not here to tell you what to charge, man. At the end of the day, you got to eat. You know what makes sense for you physically, and financially. Do what makes sense for you. I'm not one of those, man, that's going to look down or up on you. I know people's situation is different. Socioeconomic situations are different everywhere. Do what's good for you. Right. Do what's good for you, man. Okay, that's cool. I understand.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm going with the GoPro camera. How do you actually would set that? Would you set that up the same way you would set up your sharing station?
The sharing station, you mean the sharing portion of the GoPro? Or the whole
Actually,
thing?
instead of using my iPhone to do my videos, I'm going to be using the
Yeah,
GoPro.
so the GoPro, there's maybe about 3 or 4 different steps with the GoPro. The process is the same. The entire process we went through in this video is the same. The only part that's different is that when you go into TouchPix on the settings, you're gonna switch your camera setting over to GoPro. Step 2 would be when you turn on your GoPro, you're gonna swipe down and go into preferences, connection type, right? You're gonna go into connection type, make sure that the connection type is going through the GoPro app. Then from your phone, you're gonna go into what's called we use the quick app that controls the GoPro. So you're gonna first establish the connection using the quick app. And once you establish the connection using the quick app, you just minimize the quick app, open up TouchPix, and then they're connected. There's actually a walkthrough on this. If you go to YouTube, look for the TouchPix page. There's a step-by-step walkthrough on how to set up this beginning process. Everything else will be the same as covered in this video.
Okay.
Quick question. So we need to have a subscription basically to use TouchPix, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So say if you know that you're just starting out and you're not, not really having a lot of active bookings, would you say, this is a 2-part question actually. Say you're not knowing what kind of bookings you're gonna kind of have in the beginning, would you suggest doing the weekly until you have more bookings where you can use it more like on a monthly or yearly basis instead of?
I'm always going to push people towards the monthly because I think it's a better bang for your money, right? Weekly, you're exhausting $50
a week, correct?
Yeah, and typically events only happen, maybe Friday, Saturday, maybe Sundays, right? So I'm always going to push you to the monthly because you have more weekends to play with, right? But I'm also going to give you guys this, right? You guys should never be out of pocket the subscription price. So base your pricing, add the subscription price somehow to your booking price, because you guys should never feel like it's coming out of your pocket, right? So if you guys are in certain areas, make sure that booking price covers the subscription price. So I'm always going to push the mid grade because I understand the situations, but I just think that there's more opportunity with the mid grade with the monthly opportunity package.
So the 7-day trial, how do you activate that, or how do you get that per se?
Yeah, so you want to send an email to mail@touchpix.com.
Mail, M-A-I-L?
Correct.
Mail@touchpix.com?
Yes, and just say, hey, I'm interested in your 7-day trial. This is my name. This is my user Apple ID. Hopefully you register for an account and TouchPix. And your contact number, just in the event that we need to contact you. We won't unless we need to. And then somebody will email you back saying, this is your promotional code and this is how you activate it.
Okay, essentially I didn't use an Apple ID when I registered. We had a Gmail that we registered under. So do I need to go back and change that?
Yeah, just re-register for a new account. It doesn't hurt.
Re-register? Okay, so it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Make sure that you register on the device that you're using on your iPad. Because if not, you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know that. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was similar to the question that I had. So the laptop in the iPhone my business advisor has, but we didn't register for the free account yet because to pick the Apple ID. We use SnapPic now for like a regular photo booth, like an iPad booth.
You'll love this on the photo booth side. I'm about to drop some tutorials on that. I've used SnapPic in the past because I also run a multi-op business, but I don't use it as a subscriber. I've used it because people sometimes, typically during the holidays, you know, I have a pretty, you know, I have a decent sized staffing where we can accommodate multiple events. So people will white label me and they'll give me their login. So I've seen that workflow. There's nothing wrong with that workflow, but I prefer TouchPix because I think it's, you know, there's a lot more opportunity with that in the 360, right? So, but it's very similar as far as workflow. I prefer TouchPix in many areas, but you know, I think at the end, try it out. Hopefully that convinces you. But I think the workflow that sells me on the photo booth side is the same thing, right? You can create a photo template that prints. You can create a GIF. You can actually have the guest pick the GIF file. It'll take 3 or 4 photos. They'll get the digital file while printing a completely different template on the same workflow. So I think it's a neat feature. It's a neat workflow, and I love it especially for like weddings or sweet 16s that I do in my area.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, is that the workflow is pretty easy and it will be cool for boomerangs and also for our digital booth. So my question was, should I use the Apple ID that on the iPad that I have now and use that for the 360? And if I do, is that going to conflict when we have events on the same night?
So look, you're always open to buying a white label subscription. I think the price for a white label subscription is, if you're going to do monthly, it's $150. I don't think they offer it on a weekly basis, right? But if you go the white label subscription for the monthly, you know, you don't have that issue where you'll have conflicting Apple IDs. You'll be able to use any Apple ID. So I think that's a better value. If you have multiple devices that don't belong specifically to you, or you want to just have the option to white label it out with other businesses in the area. But if you want to stick to the 140 plan a month, I think then yeah, everything's going to need to be tied to the Apple ID. There is a way where you can get around that.
I want it all tied to my same business. They're all my devices. They'll be at different places at different times, but I own them all. But I don't need the white situation.
Okay, yeah. So just switch them over to an account where you're gonna have all the same Apple IDs.
Okay. All right. And then the other question was that, do you guys or any of you in the room or like you find that companies or like brides or anyone don't like the fact that you add your outro to the end? Like, is that off-putting at all?
No, so like this is kind of a loaded question. Obviously, I did this one for a demo. I don't typically add an outro. I give them an option. I've done slideshows of their basically a custom slideshow of their, you know, when they do the whole how they met type of thing, right? I do a slideshow that more personalized to their event, right? I typically don't add my promo at the end unless not for intimate weddings. I'll do it more for like sweet 16s and stuff like that. But for the intimate stuff, I try to keep my stuff really subtle, you know, but I think that's going to be, you're going to get a different answer from everybody else. People do it for branding. Some people mind it, some people don't. As a paid service, I charge a lot, for example, you know, I should be able to take that off at the request with no issues. I think it's off-putting sometimes.
Yeah, I just didn't know for sure. Okay.
Got it.
I have a question. 2 questions. Is anyone having issues with their sharing station? Like every time I make a video, I end up having to go back and sync the sharing station. Like every probably 5 videos, not every video, but like every 5 videos, I have to resync it. The phone and the sharing station. iPad.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't really heard about that. My sharing station's been running pretty flawless for a while now. I'm curious to see if, you know, what's going on, you know, with your connection. Maybe we can touch on this offline too and see what we can troubleshoot. But it shouldn't be disconnecting that often, that's for sure. It's not normal.
But let me ask you a question. Are you using like the product that you're using on your booth arm? Is that your personal? Is that your personal or is that your business?
It's my business. It's my business, and I have everything turned off. So it's my business line, cell phone line.
Yeah, because I was having the same problem, but I was using my personal phone. So if you getting any text messages or any calls or anything at that time, it hang up. It'll disconnect you.
Yeah, I'm constantly getting disconnected, but I don't think that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah, let's touch base offline. There's a couple things.
Hey, I got
want
a
you to try.
question. Where I can download music from? Because that's like the only thing I'm having a hard time with.
Yeah,
that's like
man.
the only thing.
That's a common question tonight. So I just provided a whole bunch of links, man. You can go to. Can I get everybody to mute, please? I think it might be in the chat. Look through the chat. There's Ben Sound, Epidemic Sound, Audio Jungle. Any of those sites you can download from.
I have a question.
Sure.
So like when the countdown is happening for the client at the moment, right? So do you have to actually like hit the button for the spinner to turn for them, or will it automatically go by itself?
Do you have a manual or automatic spinner?
Automatic spinner.
Yeah, so you can set it to motion trigger, right? And motion trigger, once you hit the button, it'll pick up probably by the second rotation, it'll start the session, right?
And that's for the motion trigger. Okay.
Yeah, that's for the motion trigger.
For the motion trigger, you don't have to purchase the trigger though, right?
No, you don't.
Okay.
That
was my question earlier.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it.
Where can we watch the replay of the video? Will it be on the
Facebook? Yeah, so join the Facebook group. What I do is every time we finish a webinar, I gotta download it, then I gotta upload it onto a YouTube platform, and then we'll be sharing the link. So it should be up by tomorrow morning, man. Give me by 10 a.m. tomorrow, it'll be up.
I appreciate it. It's very informative.
The kids often say to me,
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
One thing that you can do is stop waking up your children by
All right,
activating
if you guys can mute.
What I mean by that is there's a difference between going sitting on the bed next to your child and gently.
Okay, got it.
There,
Yeah.
what's your name? Facebook, actually.
Oh, I'm DJ1. It's spelled all together. So it's D as in David, J as in James, O as in Ohio, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward. So DJ1 Duke.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll see some turntables probably as my profile.
Yeah, I was asking the others prior to you coming on if
Can you spell that again, or can someone put that in the chat, please?
Yeah, so I can put it in the chat real quick right now. If I don't think George is in here anymore.
asked if you had any experience with low-lying fog or fireworks. Those are the two things I'm researching.
Yeah, so look, low-lying fog, it's called I forget what they're called now. I just had it. Yeah, they're like haze machines, right? They're not really fog machines. They're dry ice machines. The popular machine is called the Nimbus. You know, that's your dancing in the cloud effect. The fog does not rise, and it's not really smoke, so it doesn't trigger smoke detectors. So if you're gonna get a machine and get the Nimbus, it's a dry ice machine, right? Get that. The thing with the sparklers, yeah, they're cool, but they're expensive, right? Each packet is going to run you somewhere between, $18 to $20, right? A packet. That packet will last you maybe 15 minutes. So
yep, exactly.
So again, that's not what dissuades me. What dissuades me is in my area in California, we got the fire marshals inspecting. They will not allow that in venues, right? They will not allow it. They have to be rated at a certain amount. And the ones that are rated that, I'm not going to drop about $3,000 a machine because, I want that effect. So, I would go with different effects if you can. There's a lot of other cool effects that people don't use. We just did the showcase at the Marquee show in Chicago. I think people underutilize the static slow motion, which is people just on your platform, non-moving, you do slow motion and you use confetti and balloons and pom-poms that have that moving effect, and it still looks cool with a good backdrop in the back. So get creative with this. You guys are paying a subscription. You guys should be kind of setting the bar for everybody coming on board, because if you guys took this on as a business, know that it's not simple to get the money that you guys demand or require. You guys need to put in some time and work into testing what works best.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. You guys have any?
Okay. Yeah. Like you say like a lot of fog and the dry ice and everything. Does that make your platform kind of slippery? Because I've seen some people using bubbles, and I know the bubbles.
Yeah.
Give
Those are liabilities, man. So look, if you guys have a 360 business, make sure you guys have insurance. State Farm doesn't charge that much. You guys could go through anybody else, but I think I pay about close to $400 a year for my, $1 million insurance policy. It's great to have, and just the peace of mind, man.
What kind of insurance is that called? What kind of insurance is that called?
I have a multi-op, so for me it's a little bit different. Yours might be a little bit cheaper, just because I do also have a DJ business. But you're gonna want to.
Yeah, I got to get that as well.
Yeah, you're gonna want to get some event services insurance depending on the services.
Okay, that's what it's called, event services. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Event services.
Yeah, so I would stay away from slippery stuff. I would stay away from the spark machines look great, but just know that you may get dinged or not with your local fire codes, and it's pretty expensive to keep up with that. Dry ice, I think you'll be fine. That has no repercussions of any slippery type of platform.
Okay.
Hey, do you stay away from a kids party with your 360s?
No, I mean, I would do it if they pay. I would do it. It's not something that I would probably promote, right? So look, and I know a lot of people are new, but there's so many layers to this photo booth 360 game, right? If you're trying to present a high quality brand, right, more than likely you're going to want to stay away from kids events. But that's an opportunity where you can sub-brand. You can have a brand for your high quality events, high demand events, but you can also create another brand for these birthday party events that you don't want to associate with that higher level branding, right? So get creative with that kind of stuff, man. You can always do that. It doesn't cost a lot to do. At the end of the day, you're going to get both businesses. So it's a win-win.
Okay. Hey, with your lights, what do you prefer? Electric? Because I went all wireless. I went all battery.
Yeah, man. My personal preference right now is electric. I haven't found a good set of battery lights that I want to ride with. But see, I take into account cost as well. So there is some great battery ones, but they're not going to last as long, and I'm not going to spend that for the amount of time that they're on.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
I agree with you. My name is Jimmy Flicks. The batteries do not last, and they're not as bright. So electric, when it's plugged into outlet, is much brighter. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick, I just sent an email out to your company about the code that we need to register our TouchPix account. I just want to know, what's the turnaround time for that?
You give them until tomorrow, right? There's about maybe 3 to 4 of us, right? And two of them are in the Netherlands, and the other 2 are here in the States. I'm out of the West Coast. We got a couple, 1 or 2 out of the East Coast. So just give them a little bit of time.
Okay. So yeah, like my brother said, there's an event that we want to do tomorrow, and we wanted to get access ASAP.
Look, what you can do, and I'll say this on the record too, is just by the week.
Okay.
We can add you a different week. Just say, hey, look, I never got my week trial. you know, I bought a week because I wanted to do it now, and I can add you a different week some other
Okay.
time, man. That way you don't feel super pressured.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Any more questions before I log out? Because man, I'm getting a little hungry.
Are we able to private message you, or
Well,
how do we get in touch with you if we have any questions?
yeah, so look, you reach me on the Facebook
Yes,
group.
I have one question.
Okay.
I've been waiting to ask.
Okay, go ahead. Then when I'll plug in my plug at the end.
When you put it on, okay, so when you put it on, when you go to the trigger mode, right, and you put it on that you want it to, like when the spinner is going, and it's like you have like the 3-second delay, but then you have your machine on 3-second delay as well. Why doesn't it automatically start the video? Like, why does it, like I have to keep resetting it?
What do you mean restart the video? Like the recording process? Is that what you're saying?
Like when I start to, like when I hit when I hit for my spinner to go, the video doesn't start to record automatically.
Because there's a countdown, right? You still have a countdown in place, right?
Yeah, I have a 3-second countdown.
Okay.
But even past that, my spinner can go for the whole 11 seconds and the video still hasn't started recording.
Okay,
is there any reason why that would happen?
Yes, because every spinner varies, like I said in the video. So when you get to the trigger mode, to the right side of those settings, there is sensitivity adjustments that you can adjust, right? So you can either put it on high sensitivity, and if still that doesn't work, on your phone, there's another place where you could add the sensitivity. If you go into settings and scroll all the way down to where it says triggers, there's actually a slider that you can move on the plus direction or on the minus direction. One of those will work. You just got to find your sweet spot for your spinner.
Okay, because once that spinner starts to go, it would not pick, like I had to like do 10 videos over again. And I'm like, why didn't it start?
No, yeah, so there's that adjustment period, but you got to find the sweet spot. Your spinner, every spinner is a little different with how it operates, and the sensitivity is always one of those that you're going to have to find what setting is going to work best for you. I wish it was just that easy where we can just say, hey, use this setting and it'll work for everybody, but it's just not the case. Because
I have the automatic spinner, so it gives it 5 seconds, you know, additional 5 seconds while it's spinning, but it still wouldn't pick up.
Yeah, just mess with the slider, mess with the sensitivity, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna drop the contact, okay, for the trial. The trial is gonna be mail at touchpix.com, right? That's for the 7-day trial. The Facebook group is called TouchPix. Let me see. TouchPix user group. I'm DJ1. You can email me, but sometimes I'm a little slow with the emails because they got me doing a whole bunch of other stuff, man. And if I don't see it's an emergency, I might not get back to you, but I don't want people getting mad at me, all right? So I'm throwing that disclaimer right now. I'll get back to you if it's like a dire situation, but if it's just questions about, hey, what lights do I get, this and that, it's not much of a priority to me. Wait, I just realized I'm sending everything to one person. So DJ1 at touchpix.com. Facebook group is called TouchPix user group. 7-day trial is mail at touchpix.com. Yeah, let me know if I can help in any way. I'll definitely help. You know, but please have it be TouchPix related, because I get my inbox gets flooded with equipment stuff, and you know, you guys can definitely do a little bit of the research on the equipment stuff in the groups and stuff like that. There's a lot of people putting up their own Amazon list, so it's just a matter of digging a little bit.
Got a quick question. Which brand is your spinner?
So I got 2 of them, man. So I do have a manual that I said that I converted into an automatic. My manual, when I first bought it, it was the Eddie Barber manual spinner, right? I think it's called Spin Cam. My motorized spinner is a Selfie Box 96.
All right, that's what's up.
DJ1.
Yeah.
Hey, question. The TouchPix app. You
Yeah.
said it's good for photo booths. Is that only the iPad photo booths or?
Yeah, iPad only, you know, but
Okay.
be on the lookout, man, because technology is changing rapidly. I think iPad photo booths are going to be the way to go in the future. There are implementations now where iPad photo booths are being able to control a DSLR camera. I don't see that, you know, too far away from TouchPix's future. So just pay attention to that. I think, you know, that's going to be nice when that happens. I'm hoping.
Yeah, because Surface Pro can do it already.
Yeah, but the Surface Pro is a computer. With the iPad,
Yeah.
you know, it changes everything. The simplicity of that connection changes everything. So, you know, versus messing with Windows updates, Windows this, Windows that, it gets a little hectic sometimes. But, you know, I think for the most part, I can't wait till we get there soon.
Okay. Have you ever used because I'm using what is called something with a C. Would you you think well, I play with it. I guess I'll play with it and everything. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, man. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this down. I hope everybody had a good night. I hope my information was valuable for you guys. Thank you guys for joining me and for taking the time to listening to me ramble a little bit about spinners and you know some of the settings. I welcome everybody onto the TouchPix family because I do think that this user group is a little different than a lot of the user groups out on Facebook. I think we truly try to push one another to kind of put out that product, but we also try to get on each other as far as preparation goes and having you guys on your toes to be prepared for every event, right? Because there's a lot of people that try to take shortcuts. I'm not saying that you guys are one of them, but there's a lot of people in the industry that do that, and we're trying to go away from that and try to prove that our output is just as good as any other output out there. And with that being said, you guys have my contact. Wish you guys a good night. Blessings and peace. I'm out.
Thank you. Really real quick question. Do you do this every Wednesday?
I don't do it personally. I started doing these a while back. You know, I'll be either moderating the chat. Charles does them, but you know, I think we're going to be alternating because I do think that the reason why I stepped away from it is I was getting burnt going over the same information over and over again.
Okay.
So Charles will be, you know, Charles and I will be kind of going back and forth. George is also on board. He's been moderating the chats, and we're trying to get him to actually do some of these as well. But you know, we're just trying to get, you know, a fresher look, fresher perspective. I know I do them a little bit different than Charles. I'm more of a visual learner, so I try to have visual things here so you guys understand how it all operates. But you know, we'll definitely be in touch. If you guys want to join the rest of the webinars, feel free, ask away, and you know, we'll definitely let you know who's on if there's a preference. All right. Other than that, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. Peace out.
Bye-bye.